What's up, guys? It's your boy Ruben. Happy Hump Day. It's Wednesday, and I had to take a couple days to think about this one, and we're gonna discuss what was the loss to the Colts. Very disappointing loss. If you watch the game, you know why. We kind of dominated every way we needed to dominate on offense, with the exception of we were running the ball so well, it kind of doesn't matter. But when I look at the offense, I feel like the one thing we've been missing is obviously just the ability to take the top off of defense. And I know we attempted some in the Colts game, the one that we won, but it's apparent that we don't have that ability to threaten that part of the field. And why is that important coming into this game? Because Trevor, I believe, had an outstanding number of completions. His completion percentage was crazy this game. I think he was like something like 20 for 22 or something like that. But not a lot of yards. And that was because a lot of it was predicated on dump offs, short, quick passing game. Now, with that being said, I feel like the Colts adjusted to that from the first game. Now, I don't put this loss really on the offense per se, at all, actually, when I think about it. I think the offense did what it needed to do, with the exception of one thing, and it was the fourth down that they ran the option and we got obliterated. I thought that was a bad call by the coach. And a couple things that kind of rake my nerves about this loss were a few things came to a head for me that I've talked about in the past. One is I didn't necessarily want a offensive minded head coach, even though I have a lot of respect for Doug Peterson. I've never been a big proponent of the offensive play caller, genius type, at least as a head coach. I've always been preferential to defensive head coaches and make sure they hire a good offensive staff, because defensive head coaches I find they do the little things well, right? In that they don't get too cute. And that's been the problem for me when it comes to offensive minded head coaches. It's sometimes their brilliance can get in their own way. They get too cute, right? So on that 4th and 1, I've never been a fan of a couple things. A, running the ball wide, right? Unless you've established you're just going to keep hitting them up the gut, which we weren't. We were doing a lot of off-tackle stuff in zone kind of running schemes. But again, we had Travis Etienne, I believe, in the game, if I recall correctly. If you're a defense, are you thinking they're going to slam this ball up the gut with Travis Etienne? No. So you took that element out the game, that they weren't going to completely sell out up the gut, right? So the option, when you run the option, at least in that scenario, he had to think they're going to think we're either going to sneak it or try to slam it up the gut. So you took the first element of surprise away by having ETN in the game. Then they run the option, and the reason I'm not a fan of it is you have to cover so much ground to get the edge to gain that 1 yard, and you already have a back that's not going to push the pile if he gets caught behind the line of scrimmage. They played it well. We got stuffed. So from a coaching standpoint, just schematically, I didn't like it. I also never have been a fan of the fact that we don't have a fullback. The league in general has pretty much made fullback irrelevant, but the fact that nobody plays I formation, put a fullback in there, is flabbergasting to me, especially for situations like that. If anything, why not add an extra offensive lineman? Why certain teams, especially us, haven't looked at Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan was moving Trent Williams in motion and using him as a pulling fullback guard-ish kind of guy at the snap. And they were obliterating people. You couldn't stop them from gaining positive yardage. Why we haven't adopted a similar strategy where we at least pull the offensive lineman to help blow holes open. You have the highest paid guard in free agency last year, and we run an option. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but the reason I did is because I believe that call, not necessarily the defense, but that call in general cost us the game. And I said it when it happened. I said, here's the problem. I don't mind going for it on fourth down, but it's situational football. I know what analytics be telling y'all to go for it on fourth down, da 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 da. We were in field goal range. I don't know how you guys feel about the kicker, but he should have been able to make this field goal. And we would have went up 5, which meant they would have had to score a touchdown to win. Now, you could say they scored a touchdown. True. But here's the thing. When you go for it on fourth down, in that situation, we had been struggling to score points at that point as well, too. The offense has slowed down. The defense kind of made their adjustments and slowed everything down. When you go for it on fourth down, if you don't get it, right, while you're still up, you give all the energy and momentum to the home team. The crowd's going to go crazy. The defense is going to go crazy. And it's going to deflate your team confidence-wise. And you saw it. Not only did they get the stop, they blew it up. They played it as well as you could play it. Trevor was covered. He wasn't going to get the first down. And when they pitched it for a split second, I thought Travis Etienne might have got the corner, but he didn't. He got crushed for a loss. So what happened? All of a sudden, the stadium went nuts. Defense went nuts. Now the Colts feel like, oh, now we have control of the game. And that's what you got to factor in when you're going for it on fourth down is, all right, it's great if you get it, but what happens if you don't get it? What kind of momentum swing are you allowing to happen? And that's why I thought that fourth down wasn't a good call. At least you get the points. The Colts feel like, damn, like we've been struggling, and while they need a touchdown, they don't have that extra energy boost. And I believe in football, energy is everything. So that's enough that I'm really gonna spend on the offense. I thought it was a little bit. Well, one more thing. I thought it was a little bit surprising that Travis Etienne got the start. He did run well, and then Michael Hasty had the big run. I don't think it was great that they didn't. I felt like they didn't run James Robinson enough, and the reason for that is because he's a chain mover. He's the type of running back that helps you control time of possession, things like that. You sustain long drives with a kind of running back like that. While Travis Etienne was running well, they were kind of in bigger gashes. And then once the second half rolled around, they were able to control that. And that's when the Colts kind of took over and came back and won. So I think not running James Robinson more was a little bit to our detriment in the second half. Then all the criticism from this point on has to be square on the shoulders of the defense. I was disappointed on every level, with the exception of a lot of people are ragging hard on Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker and where's the pressure. If you're watching the games and you watch it the way I do, I'm always watching like the edge rushers, where's the push coming from and things like that. I'm trying to pay attention to everything. I see guys that are, for all intents and purposes, they win their matchups a lot. But unfortunately, because there's no interior push, what I'm disappointed in is the 3 down linemen, the 2 defensive ends and the nose tackle. We're not getting any push up the gut. So they're not forcing the quarterback out of the pocket or into the pass rush, or they're able to step up into the pocket. Because if you watch Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, they get back there, but they can't cut the corner deep enough to get to the quarterback, and a lot of that is predicated on there's no interior pressure. You would see, I think, so many more sacks if we had more consistent interior pressure. Not sacks, just more consistent interior pressure. And you can say that, that's a knock on the Jaguars, or you can just say that, unfortunately, that's where they're strong at. The Colts, Quentin Nelson is probably the best guard in football. Ryan Kelly is, I'm not sure if he played, but the strength of their offensive line is on the interior. So that was disappointing. And then I know everybody wants me to rag on Shaquille Griffin, but what was even more disappointing than Shaquille Griffin was the middle linebacker play. Okay. They're, I think, is it Deion Jackson, I believe, was their running back. They're down to like the third or fourth string running back, and he ate all day. No name tight ends ate all day. And while I can sort of deal with the growing pains of Devin Lloyd, he's a rookie. I don't expect him to know everything. I think a lot of um, some of the issues in terms of in coverage, because they were getting whatever they wanted in the middle of the field, had to do with the aggressiveness of the defensive play calling, which I don't mind an aggressive defense, but you got to adjust. So what do I mean by that? So we blitzed the middle linebackers a lot. Mike McCoy came from Tampa Bay. He had Devin White and the other guy's name is Levante David. Devin White and Levante David. They blitzed a lot. And as a result, they got so used to coming up, they started taking advantage of the passing lanes behind them. And I think some of Devin Lloyd's situation was he was getting out of position on tight ends because he was cheating up too much. And so, like, because you'll see, he'll initially have the coverage, but then they cut, and it's like they don't expect it. It's like they were trained to get downhill, right? As opposed to kind of play coverage. So Devin Lloyd, I give a little bit of a pass to because he's a rookie. But Foye Oluokun was the most disappointing one because if you look into his history, he led the league in tackles, which some people would say, who cares? That there were a lot of them were downfield, whatever. But his specialty is supposed to come in coverage. He was supposedly a safety in college that was converted to middle linebacker, lots of speed. But I'm always seeing him making tackles downfield, getting beat by tight ends. I can't accept that from the veteran. I need to see better play, especially when we have the smallest kind of linebackers that we have. We don't have a thumper, right? You could say, I think Chad Muma is more the thumper type, and you guys can let me know in the comments. I don't remember seeing him, but Foye Oluokun and Devin Lloyd, no question, are kind of the smaller, faster. They should be better in coverage types, unless you have a great defensive line and a nice plugging nose tackle. These are the kind of guys that kind of got to get protected by the defensive linemen, or they can get washed out because they're not large linebackers. This is where the weakness of the team is. We can be run on. Why guys like Ndamukong Suh haven't been considered for depth. When Fodakasi's out of the game, I feel like these linebackers get exposed, and they know it, and I feel like they're overcompensating, which leads to them getting beat in coverage. So I think that's something we need to fix. Something we need to consider is bringing people in or figuring out how to plug the gaps better so that these linebackers can do what they do, which is to run free and roam. And Colts took advantage of that, man. And last but not least, Shaquill Griffin. I'm officially out on him. But unfortunately, guys, we don't have a better option. We really don't. What's confusing to me is Shaquill Griffin has all the measurables. He's a nice sized corner. He supposedly runs a 4.3. But I will say Alec Pierce was somebody I liked in the draft that I thought maybe we'd take a flyer on. He went a little earlier than I thought. And unfortunately to the Colts. The same situation with Michael Pittman. I thought that was somebody we were going to be interested in a couple years ago in the draft, and the Colts got him. Alec Pierce is 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", runs a 4.3, and so it's not surprising that that kid has talent, right? So I think some of the problem is people think that kid didn't have talent, maybe, but it was such a critical play, and Shaquill Griffin, I don't know what his deal is. He just has not played well. Earlier in the game, there was a pick that could have been made, and that seems to be the thing with him is he's in position but never makes the play. Which again, on the other end, Tyson Campbell, I honestly think is our best corner. He's always in position, just has a problem with turning his head around. But we can deal with that because we know he's a young corner. Shaquill Griffin's a vet. It's unacceptable the way he played. I'd like to see how he bounces back. I'm interested to see how players bounce back from games like this, and that is why I'm going to give it some time. See how he bounces back before I completely write him off. But those are my thoughts, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Share the video. Appreciate all the love. Hit your boy up. Peace.